I was a college student at the time, and I needed someplace to live, since my parents were in a different city. I found this average house with a really good price, almost too good to be true. I contacted the owner, and we planned the time I was free to come and check it out. The house was really big. Every room was huge. Even the bathroom was bigger than my parents' bedroom. I told the owner that I liked the house and I want to rent it for the next month. He agreed, but told me one thing. These were his 3 words. About 3 months ago, I had one man live here. The first time he came, I had an uneasy feeling about him. I didn't want to sell him the house, but he paid double, and I really needed the money, so I accepted. A few weeks pass, and I call him, but he doesn't answer. I come to the house to check on him, but he's nowhere to be seen. I come to the kitchen when I see a pool of blood. I quickly ran out of the house and called the cops. They check it out, but couldn't find out his location. I was shocked by his words. He understood if I didn't want to rent the house, but I couldn't find anything better, so I ended up renting it at the end. Many months later, I was expecting a delivery. I ordered a new big TV because the old one the house had was really bad. After I unpacked everything, I didn't have the storage to put the boxes. The idea popped up in my head that the house maybe had a basement. I looked everywhere, but at the end, I called the owner and asked him. He told me that the only storage was the old shack in the backyard. I knew about that, but the shack was full. Later that day, I was in my bedroom, laying on my bed going through my gallery pictures, when suddenly, I see something on the ceiling. At first I thought it was a vent thing, but when I brought a chair and looked closer, I saw that it was an attic. I opened it up, and it was pitch black, so I used the light on my phone to see. I climbed in, and after a short time of searching, I saw a light switch. When I switched it, the light turned on. The light was very bad. It barely lit up half the attic. I was beginning to climb back down when a black trash bag caught my eye. I went to the bag with my phone and tried to pick it up. It was unusually heavy for a trash bag. I gave up on the idea of picking it up and decided to open it. The moment I opened it, the smell of rotting flesh and every single thing you can possibly imagine being rotted hit me in the face. I shine my phone light to the bag and see a woman. A dead woman, starting to fall apart. I jumped back so much that I fell through the vent opening on my back. I ran out of the house and called the cops. They investigated everything and asked me questions about the house. I called the owner, and in a matter of minutes he arrived. When the police questioned him, he told them the same story about the man he told me. Turns out that he didn't even know that the house had an attic. Him and the police suspected that it was the victim of the same man, but lack of evidence restricted them to go any further. The owner of the house apologized to me for everything, but I just couldn't bring myself to staying in a house that somebody was murdered in. 1 week later, I moved out into another apartment with my roommate, and I was living there the rest of my college year. They never caught the man and didn't identify the woman. I moved into my house when I was 3 years old. It's big with 3 floors and 5 rooms. The only thing I didn't like about it was the neighborhood. You see, I lived a block away from the city's jail. Nothing too crazy ever happens, except this one time. When I was around 9, I kept waking up because I heard noises throughout the night. My parents thought it was just birds or squirrels, so I didn't think much of it. One night, something else woke me up. Bells, sirens, from the jail. It caught me completely off guard, but what could I do? I was a 9-year-old boy. Sooner or later, my parents got wind of what was going on and told me to go back to sleep. Truthfully, I couldn't. The next morning, the jail incident was on the news. 3 policemen were held hostage during the night, and 2 prisoners escaped. One was found 2 hours later near the local park at 4 a.m., but the other was not found. That night, as I was in bed, I heard something. Not outside, but in the attic. Footsteps and heavy breathing. I wanted to run and get my parents, but the door to the attic is right next to the door of my room. Then I heard it. The faint creak of the attic door opening. I was practically crying at this point, fearing for my life. My only question was, how did he get in? We keep the doors locked all the time. 5 short minutes felt like 5 long years as the guy quietly walked down the stairs. I was able to make out the sound of him opening the fridge. Some time passes, and he was climbing back up the stairs and into the attic. I didn't think it was safe to get my parents at that point, because at any time he could come out. And I wasn't sure if he was armed or not. So, I waited till morning. As soon as there was sunlight, I woke up my parents to tell them what happened. Immediately, they called the police. A short time after, 3 police cars were in our driveway, and a search team was already trying to look for the guy. What the police and detectives found really messed me up. Apparently, the cellmate found a hole under our deck and was able to squeeze through a small tunnel leading to our old fireplace. But the thing was, the fireplace was blocked off for as long as I can remember. He managed to climb up the fireplace and into our attic, which is the reason why I could hear small animals, which is what I thought at the time, during the night. The man was armed with a wrench that my dad must have left out the night the guy came. The man was originally put into jail for robbery, and now he's in prison for the next 15 years, under trespassing and breaking and entering. I'm not going to say his name, but just know that no one got hurt. When I was younger, my mom had moved us, my brother and I, to a new house. We lived in northern Minnesota. The upstairs had my room, my brother's room, and the guest room, which was where the attic was, and my mom's room was in the basement. The kitchen and main living room were on the upper level. The hallway where our rooms were led to a bathroom and the kitchen, which are the only places that have hard floors along with a small patch in front of the front door. Next to the kitchen was the living room, front door, and stairs to the basement. The guest room always freaked me out. When I would open my door in the morning, I would see it and have to walk past it. It had a really bad vibe coming from it, and it made my stomach churn just looking at the door. The feeling got worse once I was inside it. It was always colder walking by that room, and when you went in that room, it was always 10 degrees colder than the upstairs, which always got really hot, especially in the summertime. Almost every night, I would hear footsteps in the attic. It was a small attic, so no one could really fit in it. A month or so after we moved in, we took a peek up there and found a flashlight and some other tools. They were in the back corner, so you would have to crouch and walk to get them. So, months go by, and every night there were footsteps pacing back and forth. My brother heard them as well. He didn't seem to mind as much as I did. Skip forward a few years, and I'm 16-ish. The footsteps are still happening, and one night, I was laying on my bed petting my cat. It was around 2:30 in the morning. My lights were on, and my bedroom door was open. I start hearing footsteps in the kitchen. The footsteps then started to sound like they were running, back and forth from the kitchen to the living room, all the way to the front door, where it would hit the handle. I'm frozen in bed, holding my cat. The footsteps continue to go to the front door, and when it sounded like the door handle was hit, I bolted up, slammed my door shut, and locked it. I think I pissed off whatever it was, because it ran to the kitchen, down the hallway, and towards my door. My door started being pulled very aggressively, and the handle was trying to turn. The door sounded like it was going to get ripped off its hinges. It ended up making a crack in the door near the handle. The thing ran back into the kitchen, and then back down the hallway and pulled at my door again. It started heading back to the kitchen, but something extremely weird started happening. I heard a dog running. We only had one dog at the time, and he was in my brother's room with him. After about 3 minutes or so, the dog paused, clicking on the kitchen floor stopped. Skip forward half a year, and I was friends with a girl who was a few years older than me. She was 20 at the time, and I was either 16 or 17. We'll call her A. A and I went out and bought a Ouija board. Dumb, I know. During the night, I would sneak out of my house, and we would go to very old churches, graveyards, and parks trying to contact spirits. At one point, we had the planchette in the glove compartment and the board in the trunk. We just got to the church, and we grabbed the board, but the planchette was missing. We used it at the cemetery, and now it's gone. We checked everywhere. Then we found it 20 minutes later in the cup holders. This freaked us out, due to a ghost telling us he was going to hide something from the butcher. We brushed it off, did our session at the church. A got cut up out of nowhere, and we left, and things started to feel very negative. The responses we got started getting violent. We closed the session and left. We went back to my house where she brought the board and planchette in, and we locked them away in separate spots. It's about 2 a.m. We go to bed. I'm on the floor while she's on the bed. My door is closed and locked. A passes out fairly quickly, but I'm still awake. 3 a.m. rolls around, and I hear footsteps in the kitchen. I pause my show and listen. They start coming down the carpeted hallway. I sit up and slowly make my way over to A. The door starts shaking again, and the handle is going crazy. A wakes up and stares at the door and starts crying. I'm on the floor and I lay down, 5 feet away from the door. I look under the door to see what's doing it. There's nothing there, but my door is still getting pulled violently. This thing wanted in bad. This happens for about 30 minutes, then stops. I didn't sleep that night. The next day, we look in the guest room and see flakes of the attic door. It's a square hole in the ceiling. A leaves, and I tell my brother what happened. He tells me it's going to be okay, and I tell him my plan. I grab the large can of salt. I open the guest room and salt the windows and underneath the door. I do the same for my room, my brother's, and my mother's. Nothing has happened since I used the salt. I believe this was some sort of demon or poltergeist, but I can't be sure. When it went from human-sounding footprints to dog paws, it threw my whole theory off. Has anyone ever heard of demons doing that? Or or was it something else entirely? My name is Wolf, and I'm from the UK. Growing up, I was often treated as the black sheep of the family. My parents were busy at work, with my father being a bank teller and my mother working as a therapist. My siblings, 4 brothers and a sister, were grown and had already left the house long ago. To add in, I used to be great friends with my teachers at school. Like, I was a loner at school, so I used to eat my lunches with my teachers whenever I could. The story takes place when I was 17. I remembered being told to go and clean out the attic as some family members were coming over to spend the night for Christmas with us. As I entered up the ladder that leads into the attic, I kept hearing low growls and small voices. I don't own any pets, and everyone was fully grown at that time. I ignored while cleaning up the dust-cluttered attic, but I soon stopped in my tracks as I saw something hunched in the dark corner of the room, and it had glowing yellow eyes. Me being me, I ran out of there. I tried to tell my father of it, but he only laughed and thought I was just trying to start some sort of prank with him. He told me, "There's no such thing as ghosts. You must be kidding me." Through the rest of the day, I kept to myself. I kept that until I turned 19, and the noises started to become bigger. I could remember me having to secretly search up documents and news clippings of the house. Come to find out, there was once a death and suicide inside of this house. I was then soon visited by the same hunching creature. The creature was now near my bed in my bedroom. I noticed a rope around its neck. Its skin was pale as the driven snow, and it had etchings of blue in some areas. I again ran out to tell someone about it. My mother is whom I told, and she believed me. My great-grandmother was once the original owner of this place. She was young when she had my grandmother. She was also mentally insane. She murdered a neighbor inside the home, and then she killed herself. I'm now 32, and I hope to never have to encounter with this thing ever again.